everyone. We're going to go over how to take care of the cats here at the shelter. This is going to be a quick little information video on just the different things you're going to look out for, anywhere from feeding, tidying, scooping boxes, all that great stuff. One of the things that we've done to make volunteering for our cats a lot easier is create a cat cart. So this little nifty cart should have most of your supplies on everything that you'll need on cleaning and tidying up our cats here at the shelter. You'll find kitten food, adult food, multiple varieties of wet food should be stocked on here, often extra bowls. There's really nice little paper plates that are disposable that you can put the wet food right on, and then staff can toss this after the cats have eaten their wet food. The nice thing is we also have a little water jug that you can fill up with fresh water every day to really save you some trips back and forth on making sure you're giving the cats fresh water every day. And also a variety of toys and treats and all kinds of enrichment. On the bottom we have litter, so what we'll do is we'll take our big bags, dump right into this Tupperware bin right here, and that will save you again lots of extra trips on going back and forth. There'll be litter scoops to use and also plastic bags on putting the kitten poop in there, for lack of a better word. So everything you should need should be right on here. One of the things we do ask our volunteers is to make sure you restock, making the job a lot easier for the next volunteer who comes in. The cat cart lives in the closet right up here by Feline Flats, our tower room. In here we try to keep this fully stocked as well. So you'll see blankets, rugs, extra litter boxes, extra canned food, treats, big litter pans on the bottom for our cat rooms, curtains for the towers, and also little food bowls as well. We are in our Feline Flat area here at the shelter. This is one of our cat areas, and you'll notice they're all in cat towers. One of the main important things we like to make sure that all of our cats have here, regardless of in a tower or in the other areas of the shelter, is a hiding place. So you'll always see little curtains on here. This gives the cat an opportunity to get away and hide if they feel threatened or just need a little bit of peace and quiet. Obviously she doesn't. So one of the things that I do when I first come in is take the curtains down, and they will just be on there by little buttons. So they should just be like a little elastic around the corner with a button, super easy to take down. I usually will just let that hang. Of course, these kitties have been tidied this morning, so she's probably wondering what we're doing right now. But one of the things that I like to do is have a little wet food ready on a plate. This way, when you come in, of course, you can love on the kitties. But I like to make sure that they get interested in some wet food. I'll put that up there, get her interested. Most of the time they'll be munching on that while you can clean and tidy the rest of their cage. So one of the main things that we're looking for is they have plenty of dry food. We always want to make sure that they have that available at all times. Hello. A bowl of fresh, clean water. So every morning you're going to want to dump that and refill. Her blanket looks really nice, what we're looking for. I mean, obviously if there's a couple pieces of food, that's totally fine. What we're watching out for are blankets that may be soaking wet. Maybe the cat spilled their water bowl. If the cat had any vomit accidents or poo accidents down here at the bottom, those would be things that we would replace the whole blanket. But the main important thing is that we want to try to keep as many of the familiar things in her kennel as possible, because that will help lower her stress. If she's going to be able to smell her own scent in there, she's going to feel more comfortable, as opposed to us yanking everything out every day, using strong chemicals, and then putting clean things back in. So the nice thing about these towers are there's a couple different levels. So most of the time the kitty's interested in eating their food up here. They have a little hole where they can come down to the bottom, and this will be where, of course, you're tidying the bottom of her tower. So we're going to take this litter box out. You will notice in this room that we're using disposable cardboard box litter boxes. Most of the time I try to change those every day. The minute the cat will urinate or poop in there, they can get pretty gross, so we'll just want to dispose the whole thing, fill up a new one, and put it back in. And then down here, again, this doesn't have to be perfect. Cats, of course, use the litter box. They're going to be scooping, covering up their messes. So if there's a little litter down there, that's totally fine. Again, we're just looking for big messes. So once we're done, we do want to do, again, a quick double check. I know sometimes you can get pulled away. So what I always do when I'm done in each room is I go back through, make sure every cat has food, water, litter. Those are going to be the main important things that you're looking out for. Once a cat gets adopted, which is great news, most of the time the easiest way to tell is either everything will be stripped, or if a cat gets adopted the afternoon before, staff may not have time to take everything out that evening. So what signs you'll watch out for are used litter boxes. If there's food in the tower, it's most likely to assume that there was a cat in there the day before that got adopted. If you have any questions over that, just feel free to ask staff. So the next thing that we want to do is, obviously we don't want to bring a new cat in and toss it right into a dirty kennel. We want to make sure that we're completely sanitizing this. So as you can see, we've already taken everything out. One of the most important things is to make sure this little thing comes off too. If water gets down in here, it gets really moldy, so we just want to make sure that we take that off. We can set that to the side. And then you'll notice there's no drain in this room, so we do have to roll this bad boy to our front interaction room. And we're just going to make sure our path is clear. If there's more than one tower, you can also bring multiple towers in here. It makes it a lot easier just to do everything at once. One of the first things that we want to make sure that we're going to do before we clean the towers is we want to put a towel down in front of the door. This is going to help water from flowing out into the lobby, which is never a good thing. So next step would be to turn on the hose. You'll want to make sure to turn it on at the nozzle and right here on this little stopper right here. So if we turn this on, a little bit more pressure here. You'll just want to spray the whole tower down, making sure to get all of the trays. And while we're in here, a lot of our cat cleaners go ahead and just clean this whole room. So we're just going to put a little bit of water down here on the floor. Just kind of giving it a good rinse. Next, we're going to turn that off. Now, since we're doing a full breakdown, what that means is we're doing a full sanitation to make sure that this kennel or this tower is going to be all clean and ready for a new cat. We're actually going to use two different cleaning products, and they're right behind us here. The first one is a disinfectant. They should all have proper labels on them. This is called Disinfectant 2.0. The way you'll know, of course, is by the label, and it's going to be like this, maybe light blue color. This product sits on for 10 minutes. So once we get it all sprayed on, we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes and then make sure to rinse it off before we use any other product. This same little connector is going to come in super handy. I joke that this will probably be the hardest thing that you learn today, because sometimes these can be a little rough to navigate. So if you find yourself having questions with this, definitely don't be embarrassed to ask. But this little part right here is going to come down. You can see how that moves. This goes right on top, and that should click right on the top. What I always do as a double tester to make sure you don't get a shower in the morning is turn this on. You'll see it's leaking right there just a little bit. You should be able to turn it to get that to stop, and then you'll spray. So you just spray the whole area down. Again, getting the floor, the bench. We don't need to go too crazy and get the walls. But just a nice, good overall layer of suds. So to take this off, I should show you this too. We're going to want to turn this part off just like we did with the water. Push this down, that helps release some pressure up through the nozzle. Pull that ring down again, kind of wiggle it, and it should pop off for you. 10 minutes has passed. What we're going to do, we had our disinfectant sitting in here. We're just going to move this out of the way. Turn our water back on and just do a quick little rinse. Turn off our water. If you notice a lot of water accumulating on these shelves, you can definitely, they just pop right up. So they just sit in that little tray. You pop right up, you can dump it out or dump it backwards. If you notice any debris just sticking to the trays, we do have a little scrub brush that you can use as well, that you can go in there and just scrub that a little bit. Most of the time with blankets and towels on the bottom, that doesn't happen too often, but just again, another little tidbit, if you ever need that, it's always welcome for you to use as well. So next product we're going to use is bleach. Again, it will have somewhat of a label on here. Again, working with bleach, this happens. So one thing we should mention is definitely wear clothes that you are not afraid to get dirty. Bleach, of course, when it does splatter, could get a little bit on your pants or your outfits. A lot of our volunteers will wear scrubs or just something really comfortable, old jeans, a t-shirt, totally fine. So we're gonna use that same tactic, or method I should say, pulling this down, sticking that in, making sure this little ring goes up. Again, we're going to trial run by holding it out, spraying just a little bit there, and then we're going to spray the whole area with bleach. Once that's done, we're going to turn off the water, pull down on that nozzle. I always try to push in a little bit, pull this down, and it should pop off for you. So again, we're going to let this sit for 5 minutes and we'll come back and rinse it off. So our bleach has been sitting for 5 minutes. We want to make sure that we rinse everything really well. So this is going to be our final rinse in the room. Once we're done with that, we'll just want to make sure to turn it off. We're going to want to dump all of these out. Again, sometimes it's easier if you just want to take the whole trays out too, you can do that. It's literally whatever you're comfortable doing. As long as you're following the protocols. I mean, volunteers have their own little tricks and tips that they've come up with over volunteering over time, so that's always helpful too. If you come up with a brilliant idea, always be sure to share it with us. So we always want to work smarter, not harder. So next step would be to grab a towel, and we're going to dry all of this out, move it out, and then I will show you how to squeegee and dry the rest of the room. So next for our room, we want to make sure that we're going to squeegee as much water as possible into the drain. What I like to do, a little trick, is I like just to take the squeegee everything off the benches first. Next, we're going to take all of the water on the floor and try to pull it towards the drain. And all of that, we're going to grab a clean towel. I like to make just one little pass through on the bench. Again, most of the time this is done early enough to where the room has plenty of time to air dry before there would be any guests or animals in here. Next thing is I try to put the towel on the floor. You can use this tactic or a little trick of going back and forth with your leg. You can also bring the squeegee back in and do this as well, where you can kind of pull it towards you. And again, just a quick little once over on the floor here. And then lastly, depending on how dirty the room was, there could be lots of hair that accumulates in the room, food, whatever that is. I always like to take the towel and just try to go over the drain just a little bit, just grab any of that extra trash or debris or anything on there. Lastly, we're going to grab a rug from the laundry room, put that over the drain, and add in a couple of dog toys to get this room all ready for people to come visit with dogs. Next room is Tabby Township. One of the things you're going to want to watch out for in here are door darters in any of our free roaming rooms. So what I always like to do is crack it just a little bit, check for any little cats down here, or sometimes they like to sit right up on this ledge that you'll want to watch out for. Looks like the coast is clear. In our colony rooms, we have 2 different colony rooms. The main thing that we're going to do is, again, make sure that they have a bowl of fresh food, bowl of fresh water. Typically, there would be a couple feeding stations in here depending on how many cats we have. Right now, there's only 1 cat in here. So if you ever have any question about how many bowls you should have set up or who's going to be coming in the room, definitely check with staff. There's always staff available in the morning to stop someone and ask them. You'll notice many things in here, one being a lot of hiding spaces. So again, we really like to keep the stress level down for our cats here at the shelter, which is really important for our cleaners to make sure they have lots of hiding spaces. You'll see this cat definitely found one and is maybe looking for a way out right now. You'll notice we keep the carriers in the room as well. So when cats first come to us, they're set up in the back in our cat stray area. They actually bring their blankets and their carrier up and leave them all in the room for them. So it's a nice acclimation for the cats. Another thing is you'll notice we use these big metal tray litter pans. These are going to be really durable and give the cats, especially in here if there's multiple cats, more options for using the litter boxes. You'll notice we have several placed throughout. We want to make sure there's at least one litter box per cat in the room. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But as we come in, we have different brooms and dustpans. We can sweep up any excess litter. We can, any food or extra hair that may be laying around, we could definitely do that. With our big litter boxes, you'll definitely want to make sure to bring a scoop in. We can just scoop out any poop that's in there. Again, if the litter pan is extremely soiled, we can dump the whole thing and even bring in a new pan if we have to. Another important thing for our cat cleaners is to realize, again, is when all the cats get adopted, which is awesome, is the only time we're going to break down this whole room. What that means is if there are cats in here, we're just going to tidy around them. Even if you notice a little spot on the floor, we have little spray disinfectant that you can spray on there and wipe it right up. As we talked about before, cats really, really like the assurance of having their own scent in the room. So again, if we were to come in and take everything out, bleach the whole thing and put things back in, that can be really, really stressful for our cats here at the shelter. So once they all get adopted, there'll be a nice little sign on the door that says, please clean me or please scrub me. What that does is it lets our volunteers know that this whole room is going to need disinfected. What that means is we're going to scoop everything up out of here, all of the linens, all of the towels, any of the soft toys, those can all go back into our laundry room. Any of the hard things like the carriers, the shelves, the chairs, of course, stay in the room. Even the litter pans, we can go ahead and dump those, bring everything back in here. Everything that can be sprayed and dried can be cleaned right in the room. It makes it so much easier that way. But again, we have a hose in the room. You'll follow kind of the same steps that we talked about when we talked about cleaning the towers or the interaction rooms, just right in here. So we're going to take the hose, spray everything down, grab our disinfectant, again, spray everything down in here, let it sit for 10 minutes, make sure we rinse that really well, grab our bleach sprayer, spray everything again, let that sit for 5 minutes, spray it with water, and then we're going to squeegee and dry everything in the room. Bring in new linens, new litter boxes. Food and water bowls we'll actually bring in, but we'll just turn them over because we're not going to be sure, or we're not sure how many cats are going to be coming in, so staff can take care of that part as well. Next, we're going to be going into our downtown domestic room. Again, one of the main things that we want to watch out for are cats trying to escape, especially since right across the hall we have our dogs that are housed. So extremely important to kind of take care of that. Again, you'll notice lots of hiding spaces, even a couple curtains up in here on the shelves. So the cats have an opportunity to get away, to hide if they choose to. A good example of what we mean by tidying, right on the floor over here, you'll notice what could be a little bit of vomit. One nice thing about that is, again, we don't have to yank everything out of the room and bring in the disinfectant and the bleach and spray everything down. We have a little handheld sprayer we can bring right in, spray on a rag, and wipe that right up. Another thing we should mention is if you come in and you notice anything concerning. So if you notice a lot of vomit, or the cats are sneezing or coughing or just not feeling very well, or any behavior concerns as well. So if you notice one is hissing or swatting, anything like that, please, please, please be sure that you let staff know before you leave. We are now in Hairball High Rise. We also call these our Mason Kennel. So if you hear the name Mason Kennel, this is what staff or other volunteers are talking about. The nice thing about these are you can house quite a few cats in here. In our colony rooms, we really have to be careful about how many cats we put in there from a stress standpoint. In here, each cat has their own little compartment. So they're like little kitty apartments. One of the nice things is, again, just kind of being aware of what you're seeing when you first walk in. Most of the time the paperwork will be down. If it's the very last adoption of the day, sometimes staff don't remember to come and yank that sheet. So when volunteers come in, they'll be like, oh, I don't know what's happening in here. Well, we're going to show you that today. So when you open this up, this is kind of a telltale sign that there was a cat in here. Obviously, there's dirty, wet food plates. There's food in the bowl. You can see a little bit of debris in the water over here. The blankets are kind of, you know, bunched up. And then on the other side, when we open this, you'll notice the litter box has clearly been used. If you run into this situation, you're going to do what we call a full breakdown in this room. This room, it looks a little different. We try to put these lovely reminder signs in here that you'll always just want to use disinfectant, not the bleach. The bleach can actually eat away at this material and causing them to, you know, not be as sanitary as we need them to be here at the shelter. So just a quick little reminder. One of the things a lot of our volunteers will do is grab a handheld spray, almost like a Windex bottle of what will have disinfectant in it. You'll want to get your spray bottle, spray everything, the doors, the little portal to have them go back and forth, the shelves. Let that sit for 10 minutes. You'll grab a clean, dry towel, wipe everything down, and then grab all the supplies that you need to set it all back up for a new cat. So you've just completed your cat care training. The nice thing is volunteers usually come in every weekday, or I should say any day of the week, any morning, from roughly about 9 to 11. Again, depending on how many cats we have, how big of a mess they've made will always determine how long the job will take that day. And the nice thing is about our cat care assistants, you're always working with at least one other person. Ideally, we like to have 3 people per day. One of the nice things that we like you to be able to do is not just come in and worry about scrubbing and scooping and feeding. We want you to have that one-on-one attention that the cats so much adore. Like this one over here screaming at me. We want you to be able to spend that time and love on them. That's one of the main reasons why you're here. So we can't thank you enough, and hopefully this will be great motivation for you to show up every day to help little faces like hers.